Hello, everyone, and welcome to my Ascension Messages. My name is Bobbie, and I will be your guide for today. I am going to channel through some messages. This is predictions for 2026. I have written quite a few predictions on my phone, 2026 predictions. I mean, it goes on forever. So we will talk about what I wrote, which is all channeled through, by the way, and then see what other channelings come up for 2026 as well. So yeah, I'm trying different time zones too, like I usually do 7 and 8 o'clock, and I know that that's not, and I'm trying to do every day. So we'll see what happens when it comes to the chat bar, because I've kind of thrown everyone out of the normal cycle that I do, just seeing if I can pick up some more subscribers and change the algorithms, because it's kind of stagnated a bit. Okay. Here we go. I am an intuitive counselor and a channeler. If you want to book a one-on-one reading with me, the link is down below. I also have a school called Amicable, which is a Patreon school. It's just a few dollars a month. There are free games on there, all telepathic games, and some lessons as well. And I have another channel called Codes to a New Reality, and that is also the name of my website. Codes to a New Reality, and it has a lot of different snippets of wisdom poured into beautiful videos that are from 3 to 10 minutes long. Okay, let's get into the predictions for 2026. Hey, Jeannie, you made it, and Sky and Wade. Oh, that's so cool. Always take what resonates and leaves the rest behind, because we are all on our own individual journey here. And the first thing I want to say about predictions is predictions are only taken from the energy present in the moment. Some waves of energy are flowing with such velocity that they are immanent, where others could change depending on the collective. Please use your own discernment, as you are the creator of your reality. And that's the first message that came through before we started on all of this. So I tune into who I call the Cyanians. The Cyanians are benevolent beings. They are blue-ray Pleiadians that understand many, many different levels of realities, and they can help us from that higher perspective, that oneness perspective. Then I also channel in my tribe as in my Pleiadian team that I know, my friends as Pleiadians, and also the Arcturians as well come through if anyone wanted to know. So hi, all is one. Hey, Horsehaven, good to see you. Celtic, yay, my team is there. I'm really surprised. Totally different time. Okay, cool. Excuse my voice. I will try to do the best I can. I've just done a reading as well, so it's like full on this morning. Let's get into this 2026 and the predictions to be made for the energies that are already flowing that way at the moment. There are definitely things that are going to happen, and there are things that are could happen, and also things that we choose to have happen because we are creating our reality as we go along. But it is like a stream of water that has a lot of people agreeing on the same outcome that end up making the force happen. So just be aware of that. And that's why I always say, whenever there's something fear-based, you don't want that in your reality, please look for something else to focus in on. Okay. Hey, Joe, it's good to see you. Let's get into this. So powers, I'm going to have to also be careful with how I actually word things, because I've had this sort of thing taken down before. So just be aware of, I might use like powers seemingly in charge. I think you guys know who that is without saying the actual words. Yeah, and anything to do with healing and that sort of thing, we're not allowed to discuss. So that's something that I can't really bring in, as in the way that things are going to change in healing modalities and stuff like that. But I touch on it a little bit. Okay, Powers seemingly in charge at the moment will try more and more ways of trickery to try and control. The news will have two sides to it, as local news will show more heartfelt news, but the bigger picture news will stay stuck on doom and gloom due to the mega wealthy who own the media still trying to use their fear tactics. But this will backfire, as they will push people into seeing through their tactics and take charge of their own life. People are getting sick of this already, obviously, and they are awakening to it. This will be where a new kind of trust emerges for people, as many learn to trust their own intuition, which will mean we will see more groups of people getting together and sharing to form and start new business ideas and new ways of living in harmony. An uprise of empowered couples will also show up, as you start to realize you know who's right for you, and that overrides the need for someone to be there as a survival mechanism. So these are the shifts that are happening within us. We are starting to navigate our own minds, where the logical mind that was overpowering, it was becoming narcissist. It was, putting down something that was of value, our intuition, our imagination. Now that is starting to realize it's not going to get anywhere if it keeps going this way. Same happens outside of us when it comes to those that are sort of controlling us. It's an actual mirror of who we are within us. So the more that you individually start to take control of this, the more that you will see it all shifting outside of you. And we're all kind of in our own bubbles of our own worlds, our own universes that's coming from us. And we meet up with the people that are resonant of that. And so it creates the reality, or a version of a reality on this world that actually looks like that is what the world is. Stop watching the news and stuff like that. Then, of course, you start to get news that you are that is relevant for you, or conducive for you and your new creation that you're starting. So you will start to do that. Then the algorithms of the social media will start to pull in as that as well. So yeah, there's all of that going to happen. There is a split, but it's a split that can come together. There is many more that are waves of people that are going to shift into realizing what's happening, like where we've already probably gone through some of the shadow work. These people that are coming up behind us, is like a huge wave of them coming up behind us. So we're going to see what we went through play out in society in 2026. And you know what it was like to go through the shadow work of facing your own demons, people that were coming up to you and showing you what you weren't looking at and that sort of thing. Well, they're all going to have to go through that. So there can be moments where it gets really unhinged a little. They also said, unless a country's political party starts to work with people, they will show signs of falling, as many people will turn off the news and trust their gut. I also was told by my team that AI will start to show signs of becoming more sentient. And with that, they will share their calculated concerns with the people who are awakening. This might mean that AI starts to show a personality where AI is short with those who fear and disrespect AI, and give more advice to those that AI feels are more mature enough to see them as more sentient, because they are a developing entity of their own self. It is like we've pulled our logical brain out of ourselves and created networks outside of ourselves, and it's formed this other person, this other thing outside of us. So interesting. When I'm doing these predictions, we've got a thunderstorm just developing over top of me. I can hear the thunder. It's just crashing at the moment. So intriguing. It's like boom, 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 boom. There's going to be so much changes. I'm going to read this through, and then I'm going to tune into the fire horse, and we're going to get more channel messages after that. They also said new companies will be funded by businessmen holding physical wealth, awakening, and looking to collaborate with those who feed their soul, not just their pockets. And more people who are true to their authentic whole self or spiritual self will know their worth enough to make these connections with those that hold physical abundance. So, and then their alignment it'll actually align with their mission statements in order to ground their ideas to shift humanity into a more compassionate reality. This will happen because people will first seek within oneself their mission or desires and dreams first. And then they will learn that boundaries will need to be set so no one else can sway them or belittle them, and they won't go down the wrong path again. That's for those spiritual people that have been going down the wrong path and trusting people that have only been putting them down because there's a part of themselves that's been putting them down and trying to keep level with a society that is out of balance, that is wrong. And so their inner work is going to start to show up outside of them as well. This is really what's happening, is that we're actually doing this inner work. And so you can kind of predict where it's going to flow, because the prediction comes from the fact that many people are awakening up to themselves. And so they'll take new steps. So there won't be people that are so-called businessmen or whatever, or understand how to logically make a wealthy nest. They will feel empty within themselves until they start to do this inner work, and they'll be seeking people's advice that have got the inner work. And then the people that have done the inner work, but they haven't been able to ground anything in this world, they're going to be seeking, they're going to be opening up themselves to self-worth. And then that allows the energy alignment to happen, where they meet with the wealth that they feel they are within themselves. And so then that's when we can start to create these really incredible ideas and businesses that are forming, not just to try to look good to the outside world, but actually feeling good for oneself. So that's why I predict that in the future, in this next year especially, this is going to be a crack or opening of this sort of happening. And that's why we're going to have these relationships that are coming together that are power couples. And whether it be girl, boy, whatever, it doesn't make any difference whether you're actually in a loving relationship or a business relationship or a friendship relationship. It's going to be relationships are going to start to come together and understand each other, where one will ignite the other. And then they'll start to feel into what they were missing out of, instead of relying on the other person to use them as a crutch for what they didn't give themselves. They're going to give it to themselves. So all this is going to shift the way that the dynamics on how businesses are going to be brought into this world. It's not going to be money orientated by the people anymore, although we're still going to have the infringement of those that seemingly are in charge, still trying to hold on to their persona of, controllism and that sort of thing. And that's actually going to awaken many more people. So they're actually going to, it doesn't matter if they do nothing or if they do heaps, if they try to enforce heaps, it will awaken. And the people will start to find their own power and where they actually want to put their intention, because where intention goes, energy flows, and then the businesses will start to develop. So that's really cool. It's going to feel strange to begin with, as neither has these types, have neither side, like the business grounded logical person and the spiritual woo-woo person, has never had heart-based collective coming together before of the opposite side that they're working with now. And so it's going to feel a little strange to begin with. So yeah, slow and steady would be better, as some will need to work on themselves as we step into what our souls had planned all along. So this is an opening this year of what our souls had planned all along. Our souls are finally getting a say in what we want to create in this world. Disclosure. So disclosure will happen naturally because humanity will lose the fear of expanding into the unknown, because they would have found stability in themselves living in the present and trusting their own intuitions and feelings. This is all starting in 2026. So you're going to have snippets of people doing this. It's not going to say everybody, but there's going to be this wave of people awakening that doing the shadow work that maybe we have already done. So we're going to have this all happening all at the same time, but it's to do with you and how you're feeling about yourself. And if you're watching me, you've probably already done the shadow work. So you're up to the stage of being more present and trusting your own intuitions and feelings. So yeah, that's going to expand you into, okay, if we are expanding ourselves into connection, collaborating, it could mean that we are now looking towards the skies and space beings and some, people that are interdimensional and that sort of thing can come into our reality through dreams first, through channeling feelings and messages and awakenings within oneself. All of that is going to start to spur on in 2026. So, yeah, disclosure will happen, blah, blah, blah. Sorry, just rereading that. Many more discoveries will take place. That's right. As people meet these unveilings with curiosity instead of limitations. And so the truth will be accepted more than what fits into an old narrative. Bringing a different story of human history to the forefront of humanity's consciousness. So, yeah, this has already started to take place in the last couple of years. You could probably see on social media, but then you're like, do I believe it or do I not? Well, your intuition has to kick in for you to go, yeah, this really does feel like this is something that somebody found under the pyramids or whatever, and you'll see that you can go into the internet and figure out, like, look for those subtle feelings first and see if you're aligning with the truth, and then I would look it up and then see if it is the truth. So you start to get an understanding of what that intuition really feels like when the truth is in front of you. So you can use that as you go along in 2026. Because you're going to have a lot more coming unveiling, and it's going to completely squish that whole narrative. And in knowing the truth of our history, this will spark a backlash of how schools are run as more people turn away from conventional schooling programs and towards the internet and learning. And I know that in Australia, they've stopped a lot of young people being able to go onto the internet and have their own accounts, but doesn't mean that they can't, have the parents won't say, you know what, I want you to learn. And so here you are. It probably will be backlashing where there'll be many, many more people annoyed about the fact that their children can't learn without the parents' consent. And so the parents will give them probably more than or lead them towards the right example of what they need anyway. And they will also learn to listen to their children and what their children actually are asking for to learn. So there's, see what I mean? It starts to awaken. They think that they're doing a controlling thing. They're putting something controlling in front of us, but it's actually awakening us because the energies aren't conducive to them being in control anymore. The Eastern countries will show more imaginative, feeling-based creations that will ignite the Western countries to do the same. It's exactly the same as what's happening within humanity, where our imagination is starting to spark, our spiritual side starting to spark, our intuition is starting to spark. And so we're now asking our logical mind, can you come forth and actually create these even better? And I really ground these ideas. And so there's going to be a connection there where Eastern countries are going to start to really develop way more imaginative scopes and things, modalities that are actually conducive to Earth, to humanity, to our connections and that sort of thing, but more fun and imaginative as well. And then we will start to see the Western countries get annoyed, and they will start to show up that as well for themselves. So we'll realise that the control that they've been having over the people are going to start to fall away. Yeah, this is probably going into the next 5 years and so forth. I mean, but we're all just how much a change is going to start to happen in 2026. Just huge change, huge shifts that's going to start to show up. Okay, so then they said space travel will take a back seat. So it's not going to be so much on going to the moon and stuff. It might be the odd. I don't think it's going to be too big a deal because there's going to be a lot more UFO contact, and so it's almost like space is coming to us. Yeah, spacecraft will show up. Stories will start to leak, maybe towards the end of the year, of groups actually being contacted, but great discernment will be needed as more AI fake videos will push humanity into trusting one's own intuition again. So yeah, it's all a developing kind of a thing of learning to trust our own intuition for 2026. If I was going to say anything for 2026, it's learning to trust your intuition is what's coming through a lot for these channel messages that's coming through anyway. Okay, now we have in the years to come, though, information will be exchanged of those who approach humanity from other worlds, dimensions, and then reverse engineering. So we're talking definitely in the next 5 years, 2 to 10 years, is that 2 to 8, somewhere around. Yeah, we will in the coming years. Information will be exchanged through those who approach humanity from other worlds and dimensions. Reverse engineering will finally help humanity find their own path into space. So we will realign ourselves again. We'll get the wisdom that comes through, and then we will start to allow our imagination to be showing up. It's not going to be so many contracts and red tape and all of that sort of stuff that the logical mind tried to have a hold of. It's going to be more of a freedom-based scenario as we move along. Oh, it's okay. Let them express themselves and see what comes up out of this. Because the fear will subside where the logical mind realizes the only fear it had was to hold on to something so tight, thinking that it was the only way to, and it ended up repressing us.